welcome back. I am Mrs.zeoxin and we are playing The Sims 4. So we're doing CAS today, and for this week in October, since in October we've had this whole doing spooky songs and whatnot, I thought this time would be really cool to do Until Dawn. Until Dawn is one of my favorite video games I've ever played. I have a pretty weird list of favorite games because the games I like to play are life simulation games and choose your own adventure story-based games. And so because of that, my game mix are really weird because within my top 5 games would probably be Until Dawn and Stardew Valley are both in there, and they're nothing alike. But Until Dawn is probably, for sure in my top 5. It might even be my favorite. It's kind of hard to say because it depends on the mood. I love Until Dawn, highly recommend it. But I decided I would make the 6 main characters from the game, starting off with, this is Emily. So I thought I'd tell you a bit about the game and a bit about the characters. So Emily here, I'm not gonna lie, she's not my favorite. Some people really like Emily. I am not a big fan of her, but her name is Emily. She also goes by M. Her last name is Davis, although I don't know in the game if they actually say any of the last names other than the Washington family, but I did look up their actual last names in Wikipedia, or not Wikipedia, but the fan wiki, and yeah, so she is intelligent, resourceful, and persuasive, and she is Mike's ex, which you'll see, and she's currently dating Matt. Her relationship with Jessica is pretty rocky because Jessica is dating her ex, and her ex are on kind of good terms, but maybe a little too good. There's a whole thing where because you play as each of the characters, and when you're playing as one of the characters, you see her being a little too friendly with her ex. So she's interesting. She's really smart, though. The characters each come with their own 3 skills that are their main points of character, and so I try to reflect that in their character traits that I pick out for them, but it's kind of hard to do because not all of them are in The Sims. But she is intelligent, resourceful, and persuasive. She's not my favorite. She's kind of a jerk, but she's really smart. She's an honor roll student, I think 4.0 GPA. They're all seniors in high school, I believe, but I made them young adults because, technically you're 18. You're a young adult. I think they're all 18 or 17 in the game. But you give them more traits, and each of them come with 3 traits, and it's just, I thought, why not make them a young adult? But yeah, she's interesting. She's not my favorite. She's kind of a jerk. It's not great. She doesn't treat her boyfriend great. It's a whole mess. I'm not a big fan of her, so I don't have a lot to say about her. The game, though, is it's really good. All of the characters, there's just so much I could say. The people who made the game made it so that the characters look like they're voice actors. They actually look like it. To the smallest skin details. She has a mole, as you can see in the picture I provide above her forehead, that her actor has the same birthmark, beauty mark, whatever you want to call it, mole above her eyebrow. To the very small details, they have the same. They walk the same as their characters. They did that whole where they have dots and chips and stuff all over their body and record the actors moving. It's very intense. Really good. It's a horror game, and it's really intense to play. I think it's a full playthrough. I think is 10 hours long. Oh, it's so good. I think me and Zeo and one of my younger brothers may play it when I get back from home from school. And if I do, I will be sure to let you guys know in either Twitter and or Instagram that I am going live. I might even post a small little video on YouTube just so you guys know that we'll be live, probably on Zeo's account, but that way you can watch me, Zeo, and my brother play it, and then also play a game that's made by the same people, but it's completely different. But it is a horror game. It's really good. Highly recommend it. There's monsters. There's a killer on the loose. There's so much teen drama. It's so good. It's so good, though. You have the possibility to kill every single character in the game, so depending on how you play, depends on who survives. This last playthrough I did recently this summer with my brother, we had everyone survive except Matt and Josh, which I was really, really bummed about. But next time we're hoping to aim for, again, trying to get all the characters alive. So this other character I'm doing right now is Sam, and I love Sam. Sam is probably one of my favorite characters in the game. I absolutely love her. She's really, really sweet. Her traits are diligent, considerate, and adventurous. She was Hannah's best friend. So Hannah and Beth are these twins, and in the prologue you get to see them. Well, they play a really mean prank on, I believe, Beth. And so they... Or it might have been Hannah. It's one of the twins. They play a mean prank on one of the twins because she had a crush on Mike. And so they decided to, have him pretend to like her. And they're all watching her, recording her. And then they come out, and so she gets really distressed, and she goes out into the woods. And she ends up dying. Her and her twin end up dying. It's not a spoiler because no matter how you play it, they are going to die. There's nothing you can do to save them. They're always going to die. And so, you know, it sucks. But... she's best friends with one of the twins that died. And the whole game, there's the prologue, and the actual game that you play takes place a year after that, where the twins' older brother Josh invites all of them back to their winter cabin, which is where all this happens out in the mountains, on the anniversary of their death, for them all to get together and hang out. Kind of morbid, but yeah, I love Sam though. She's so sweet. She's really cool. She's the last character you play in the game, and how you play with her can determine who gets out at the last second out of everyone who you have alive at that point. She's super, super cool, and I absolutely love her. But yeah, she's also really sweet. She's one of the few people in the game that are just genuinely really sweet, really kind, and stuff like that. So next is Jessica, or Jess. She goes by Jess in the game mostly, but I decided to put her full name because she also sometimes goes by that. But in the game, her name is Jess. She's confident, trusting, and irreverent, which I had to look up what that means, and I mean, honestly, I still can't even really say. But she's interesting. She's a pretty complicated girl. She's the traditional popular girl. You got, like, the blonde hair, the, like, light eyes, the fair skin. She's not the smartest girl. She plays this air of, like, cockiness and all that stuff. She's Mike's newest girlfriend, which is kind of messed up because the whole reason one of the twins died is they pulled a prank on them for liking Mike when Mike was dating Emily. So she and Emily have a really bad relationship because Emily and her are just kind of mad at each other. A lot of tension there because one's dating Mike and one used to date Mike. It's a whole thing, and it's not pretty. But Jess is kind of, you don't play with her a lot. You see her at the beginning and then you see her at the very end. I like her. At the end, you really, well, you might not, but I really like her because you kind of figure out that she's actually this kind of insecure girl who is she's very insecure about herself. She really, really likes Mike, who she's dating, but, you know, she's just really self-conscious, and, you know, she has her own issues and stuff like that. And she's probably feels insecure with knowing that Mike used to date Emily because Emily's really smart and stuff, and she doesn't view herself in a very positive light. And when you're playing the game, it looks like her and Mike only recently started dating, and so her and Mike aren't completely comfortable with each other yet, and you can just see a lot of her insecurities play in the game. And however, she's very, at the end you see, it's so hard to describe, but she's very, very sweet. And you kind of see that she puts all this, like, facade of being the super confident, like, oh my gosh, I'm the best thing. But in reality, that's not how she sees herself. I like her a lot. She is my younger brother's favorite character in the game. For her sleep apnea, she's in her underwear. The reason I did that is there is a scene in the game where she's one of the only characters you can get in her underwear. And it's because they have this, like, almost woohoo, to put it lightly, scene between her and Mike, but then she gets taken. We'll just leave it at that. And so that doesn't actually happen, but she does get in her underwear. We didn't do that in our game, but it can happen, so I thought that would be a little nod to that. The next one we're doing here is Ashley. Ashley is academic, inquisitive, and forthright. I kind of like Ashley, but I also kind of hate Ashley. She doesn't have a lot of main personality trait. She's kind of shy and quiet. She likes, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Chris. She likes Chris. And her and Chris have, like, this crush on each other that goes on throughout, like, the whole game. But neither of them say anything about it. But, she's not very talkative. She's very, like, soft-spoken and stuff. But honestly, she has some kind of points in the game where I really, really don't like her. There's one point in the game where she thinks that one of them could be, to put it nicely, she thinks one of them might betray them or kill them, so she suggests that they shoot them, which is just inaccurate. It's not true, but she pushes that, and I don't like that about her. She has her good points in the game. She also has her bad points. Depending on the choices you make, you can really, really, really hate her. And I'm just going to be flat out. Like, especially if you've never played the game before, there's an option where basically you play as Chris and you either have the chance to, like, save her or save someone else. And if you don't pick her, then she will hold it against you the entire game. And Chris will die. Because she's so mad at him for that. Like, it's just... yeah, so depending on how you play the game, you can really like Ashley or you can really hate Ashley. So she's definitely not my favorite. Sam is for sure my favorite. But I don't hate her. I mean, I definitely don't like Emily a lot more than I don't like her. But also, at least Emily has some, like, really cool things. And as a character, Emily's a lot better. But as a character, she's just kind of meh. And as a person... yeah. I don't... yeah. So she's it's a little iffy. I want to like her. It's just really hard to like her at some points. Although she does have a pretty strong moral compass out of all of them. So I guess maybe she has that going for her. I guess. It just kind of depends on how you view the situation. Ooh, I had a hiccup. But not much else to really say about her other than that. So next up we have Josh Washington. So he is the older brother of Hannah and Beth, the twins that died. And honestly, Josh is a very complicated character. At the beginning of the game, you kind of like him or you kind of won't. You won't have any really strong feelings about him. And then throughout the game, you will develop strong feelings in some way. I won't say a whole lot more than that, but he does have a lot going on. He lost his two younger siblings that he really loved because of their friends, and they had shared group of friends, and so that really messed him up. He went from, being the older brother with these two little siblings that he adored to being an only child with two dead sisters who he never really knew what happened to because they just kind of went missing, and they assumed that they're dead, but they were never able to find the bodies. They don't know what happened to them. They just know that they ran out one night and that he never saw them again. So he's definitely struggling with a lot personally. I give him the insanity trait, and there's a reason why I do that, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm trying to keep this relatively spoiler-free, but he has his own psychological issues, which is not really surprising because, I mean, he has two dead sisters, and that's going to do stuff to you mentally, and that can trigger some mental stuff that maybe you didn't originally have, but with a traumatic event, it can trigger it, and he has a lot of his own personal stuff going on, and it's hard because at some points in the game I really, really don't like him, but by the end of the game I always just end up feeling like really sorry for him because he just had a really bad thing happen to him, and it's all because they didn't have very good friends. Next up is Mike. Oh, also for Josh, his things were complex, thoughtful, and loving. I forgot to say his traits. Oops, sorry, I just went on a rant about him. But here's Mike. He is intelligent, driven, and persuasive. Mike, at the beginning, you really hate him. He's like a douchebag. He's not cool. He's cool. He's like the popular guy. But yeah, he's a real jerk. He's Emily's ex. He's currently dating Jess. And at the beginning of the game, you really, really probably won't like it. That's not, okay. I'm not going to, push my feelings onto you. You might like him because everyone is different and everyone's going to like or dislike their own characters. At the beginning of the game, I did not like him very much. My brother did not like him very much. He just is not a great guy at the beginning of the game. Now, you might like characters like that, so you might be like, oh yeah, this is my dude, but I digress. By the end of the game, though, you really do like him, and I liked him a lot. It doesn't take very long, actually, to start to like him because he does a lot in the game. You play as him a lot, and you kind of form this bond with playing with him, so you start to like him. And you also, because you play as the characters, you're influencing the character, and so you can turn him into a lot better person than he was starting out. And honestly, I do end up liking Mike by the end of the game, which definitely puts him up there as one of my favorite characters in the game. He's probably my second favorite character, if I'm being honest. It's probably Sam, and then him, and then it's probably Josh. No, that's not true. It would be Matt, which, speaking of, here's Matt. So, Matt is probably my third favorite character. Matt is motivating, ambitious, and active. He is Emily's newest boyfriend. And Matt, honestly, is just a real sweetheart. He's a jock. He's very athletic, very fit, and he's a jock. He has like a Letterman jacket on the whole game, so I assume he's probably on the football team or something like that. But he's really, really sweet. He's very cute. He's very nice to Emily, or he can be. One of the reasons I don't like Emily is because if you don't play your cards exactly right, she is such a jerk to him, and she can treat him so badly, even by the end of the game. Even if he dies, she will speak ill of him, like, oh, he left me for dead, oh, he's the worst, oh, I hate him, like, blah, 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 even if you literally tried your best with her. And so it kind of sucks, because when you play as him, you kind of have to make him be a jerk to everyone other than Emily for her to not hate him at the end of it all. And it kind of sucks. But I do love Matt. Matt was mine and my brother's favorite. We tried so hard to get him to live on our last playthrough together, but it just was not happening. And it's all because of like one tiny mistake. We played all of our cards right, but we messed up one little thing, and that's all it takes. Nah, nada. He was dead. And it was, it messed us up because I love Matt. He's my third favorite character. I love him so much. He's a really good character, but again, you don't play with him as much as you play with some of the other characters, so he's one of those characters that even though he's really sweet and really nice and stuff, I could see a lot of people maybe not liking him all that much just because he doesn't have as strong as a personality, and you just don't play with him as much as you play with some of the other characters in this game. Yeah, but then we got our last character, and that is Chris. Chris is methodical, protective, and humorous. He has a crush on Ashley, as I already mentioned. He has a lot of really difficult decisions to make in the game. He's best friends with Josh, but honestly, I'm not a huge Chris fan. I'm not a huge Chris hater either. Honestly, he kind of looks like the grown-up version of the guy from the Polar Express movie. If you know who I'm talking about, then you know. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about him too much because I want to say a little bit about the game before it's all said and done. But I just want to say that, like, I love this game. Highly recommend it. It's really good. I hope you guys check it out. And it's really good. Also, listen to the song from the game, Oh Death. Really, really good. I love everything about this game. Definitely one of my favorite games I've ever played. If you like horror, if you like choose your own adventure and having like a say in how the story plays out, highly, 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 this is a game you can play time and time and time again, and it is amazing. I super, super, super recommend this game. I love it so much. It's probably my favorite game out there. And with that said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss a future video. I love you guys, and I hope to see all of you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!